Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Andrew Turner, founder and host of the G&T Sessions podcast. And today we have Mr. Ketan Mavinkurve. How are you, Ketan?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's an absolute pleasure. And where are you joining us from today? Whereabouts in the world, in this kind of planet that we live on?
So I'm based in Mumbai, in India.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Cool. Well, welcome to the show. And I suppose, one of the things we've got is that we've obviously got a little bit of a little tour we're going to go on. We're going to go into Ketan's world today, right? And I know there's a bit of if you look on his left breastplate, yeah, not Under Armour, but he's got like a bit of a brand there, which might be a clue about what we're going to talk about, but we'll come to that. But one of the things that the lovely story about how Ketan and myself met actually was there's an awesome gentleman who's out there that we both know, don't we? The guy called Mr. Tim Grover. Hello, Tim. And
Hi, Tim.
Well, I joined what was called is it called the Chase, wasn't it? The Down and Dirty, the Chase. Remember that one?
Yes.
We joined a little cohort of people, crazy people, on the internet, and that's how me and Ketan met. And then we joined Down and Dirty Legends because we kind of like an alumni group now. So all I can say is, if anybody else is in the group that's listening to this podcast episode, you'll know exactly what we get up to in that group. And it's an awesome group. Really, really pleased. The only thing was probably from a time zone point of view, the calls used to start with Tim at 2 a.m. in the morning for me, and probably, I don't know, early morning for you, probably a bit easier for you. So
it was about 5:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. depending on the time difference during the year. So it was very early, but it was manageable for sure.
So you had to have lots of endurance, for the chase, yeah. So, but we're fit. You see, we're getting fitter every day. We're doing that kind of workout and stuff like that. So it was like a mental torture workout. No, sorry, not torture. Anyway, lovely to have you on the show today. And I suppose one of the things that we do kick off with all our guests, because we want to, I suppose the analogy is that we all have the same amount of time in our day. Yeah. Apparently, that's 24 hours per day. So how do we make the best of it? And one of the things that I'm always curious about is how people, have their super duper morning routine. Or some people don't even go to bed. Actually, probably they work through the night. So in terms of your kind of principles, your practices and stuff like that, what gets you up in the morning these days? What's the kind of the secret sauce to Ketan's world?
Yeah, so my name, I'll just give you a quick introduction also of what I do. So my name is Ketan Mavinkurve. I think you got that pronunciation spot on, really. I've been a finance professional for the larger part of my working life, but always had this little bit of passion for fitness. So sort of, you could say, a wannabe fitness entrepreneur. I used to look at the, all the gyms, large gyms that while growing up, I've been obviously impressed by those incredible physiques, Rocky, Rambo, Arnold and Commando, etc., right? And we grew up in the age of He-Man and G.I. Joe. So I'm a little over 40 now. And so I grew up in the 80s when all of these unrealistic physiques were very considered perfect for the movies and stuff like that. And I grew up with that aura of thinking that, my God, how can I sort of get there? And so I always had this little bit of spark inside me. We used to, actually do body weight workouts on our, building rooftops and stuff like that when we were young. And it just was something that
maybe so no weights, you just do body weight.
No, we were kids. I was literally 10, 12 years old when we started looking at fitness. So no weights at all, just did our push-ups and pull-ups and just free squats and stuff like that, in addition to generally playing sports. But through that thing, I always, now obviously that sort of fell back a little bit while growing up, because obviously there was a career to do. I was doing the Indian version of CPA. It's called being a chartered accountant in India. Very, very tough exam. So, all you do is study really for 15, 16 hours a day.
So you're good at spreadsheets, that's what you say. You're good at spreadsheets now.
I built a lot of
credits and debits, cash flow forecasts.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So through all of that, and of course, my health suffered. My weight went up quite a bit, and I fell back on my healthier habits. And then after that, I tried a lot about to do what I want to get fit, etc. And eventually, I figured a system in which I think regular people like you and me, who are not generally gym junkies or not athletes or not movie stars, can.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know. We might be secretly, gym bunnies and kind of movie stars, Bollywood stars,
Yeah.
Never say never. Never say never in the future.
Never say never. Well, not yet. So not yet for sure. But I think the idea is that if regular people can put fitness and health slightly higher up on their life's priorities in the hierarchy, can build systems to include fit activities such as their training, to meal prep, to eat clean, to be more mindful about what they do about their own health.
Exactly.
It is actually possible to do this over a long period of time and then get fitter and be there. I don't think our ancestors thought specifically about gymming or specifically eating clean, but I think this whole obesity and lifestyle diseases pandemic of its own, honestly, has been created because of our modern lifestyles and the stresses and a lack of any mindfulness towards health. So to come back in a little longish way about what wakes me up in the morning is that I think we found a system that works. I think it's something that at Alpha Coach that I've sort of founded last year, we've been able to build a system that's already transforming lives, not just the weight loss, but actually creating a lot of high performers in their own fields as well. Because once you do get fitter, once you do build those disciplines in your life, once you build those structures in your life, once you learn how to say no to things that are not good for you and yes to stuff that is, and start enjoying those things that are good for you, it starts to sort of cascade or, transcend into the other areas of life as well. For example, meetings, your work, being a good person overall in your relationships, inside and outside of work, etc. So that system is something that I personally follow every single day. I have a little bit of mindfulness in the morning. I train every day. I make sure that I'm eating clean. I make sure that I'm walking the talk, if I were to be cliched. But I try and do that every single day. And that's what sort of, you could say, the sheer impact that we can make on people is what sort of gets me up in the morning and drives me forward.
No, thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like you kind of went through, it's a bit like the peaks and valleys thing. You went through a kind of you were peaking and then you kind of had a bit of a valley with your health,
right?
And that kind of triggered you to what triggered you to address it then? What made you? Did you? So, for example, one of the guys that I love is David Goggins. Yeah, David Goggins.
Oh yeah.
Stay hard. Yeah.
Stay hard. Yeah.
Don't stop. Do at least
Absolutely.
200 miles run, before you stop and you bleed, your feet are bleeding. But he the thing about the mirror test, you probably, if you read the book, Don't Hurt Me, when he looks in the mirror and it's like, and he shouts at himself in the mirror and all that kind of stuff, So I don't. What was the epiphany moment? What happened with you? Did you have that similar kind of experience or?
I did. In November 2017, so 4 years back, I attended. So I had already started another local gym business, in Mumbai, in 2016. In 2017, as part of that, we were part of the organizing, players, the sponsors who were basically providing coaches for a training and, sort of an athletic event sponsored by a large shoe company. Now, all my coaches were there, of course. I was not really a coach, but I was there as well. And despite having tried everything under the sun for many, many years, despite owning a gym for over a year, I actually went there.
A physical gym.
A physical training center, a proper gymnasium, right? A personal training center. And I was like, why am I not being able to break through this, honestly? And when I reached that place and I saw people working out in that particular group event, which was sponsored by this large company that I said, it was everybody around me was fitter, feeling better, performing, looking better, aesthetically, everything more than me. Or so it felt that way, honestly. And I was livid. And I was like, something's got to change. I can't be doing this. I want this so badly, but I am just not being able to break through that plateau of mine and just, being able to get to the next level at all. And something gave me, and I started really trying to understand what goes on in people's lives, right? In terms of how do these people, like, say, for example, bodybuilders, they're out of shape in the winters, but come the stage day, they are in precise, like single digit body fat percentages. How do movie stars do it every single time on screen? How do models stay lean all the time? How do my own coaches always look like they lift, right? While I've been training for years and I didn't look like I ever went to the gym a single day. And I started talking to these people. I started talking to a lot of our clients. I started talking to a lot of regular people who were office goers, who had the regular 9-to-5s. I started talking to my coaches, and I realized that all these people have one thing in common. They have a goal. They've got somebody objectively coaching them towards that goal. They follow that to the T, because if they don't, they are obviously going to either lose the bodybuilding competition or look really bad on screen. Or, for example, for my coaches, they need to sort of look the part, right? I mean, they need to look like a coach to be able to coach other people. It's not necessary, but it helps looking like,
I mean, one of the things I was just thinking when you were talking was about, watching Dominic's process in the Dominic Dominetto.
Absolutely.
In our D&D group, Down and Dirty group, because he's been going to some major, massive competitions. And, seeing his progress is stellar, isn't it? It's just absolutely staggering. It's mental,
right,
with him and his girlfriend.
But have you seen how focused he is? He is razor focused, right? And that's maybe that level of focus is not required for you and me, because our livelihoods don't depend on it. We are not competing on a physique competition, but we're doing other things in life, right? But having said that, can we take our health a little more seriously? Currently, what's happening is, in a world where being busy is rewarded, right? Everything is about the hustle. Not taking a break is supposedly like success. 24/7 we're working.
Yeah, it's like a Trojan mentality, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of being pushed to the brink of productivity. It leads to burnouts. We neglect our health, and busyness therefore then becomes our biggest excuse on plan. Dude, I don't have the time for this. I mean, how can I push it in? I've got so much work. I travel so much for work, etc. And at the end of the day, as Tim Grover says this, it's not about time management. It's not about focusing on a time. It's about it's not managing your time, but it's managing your focus. It's about energy management. Where do you focus your energies on, right? And so much energy is spent on the immediate. Everything is,
urgent and important.
Urgent and important. And that sort of stress brings in the stress, because you want everything happening now. And that sort of leads to burnouts eventually, right? So at Alpha Coach, what we do, honestly, is we educate people. In fact, the first 6 weeks, you're not given a diet plan. You are given good habits to follow. And once those habits become ingrained in you, we can say, okay, now you're ready for the next, you're sort of primed for the next fat loss phase, wherein you start counting calories, you actually start watching all those things, right? So
it's like a gentle introduction into it. It's not kind of too extreme.
Yeah, I mean, right, because our body, what we're actually pushing our bodies to do is we're pushing our bodies to evolve, right? It's like the Darwinian theory. You didn't get fat in 12 weeks. You got fat over 12 years. Right. You can't get a 12-week plan and assume you're going to change, right? And even if you do shock your body into that change, your body will want to come back into that old state as soon as possible. That's why when you start eating your regular foods, you go back up, right? So the idea is to give you a plan that your body starts to accept slowly over time. And you start getting into this thing. And it's not just your body, but your mind getting used to that, right? You can't wake up and be David Goggins tomorrow, right?
Why not?
You will need to train for a year.
Why not? You're going to shave your head, shave your head, take your shirt off, and run through the desert.
Try doing that for 100 miles.
No, but
I
did the Goggins challenge last March, right? Or this March. This March, I did the I did the 4x4 by 48. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to do it again in March 2022.
Yeah, it's coming up. I think Kevin Bruins, he is also from the D&D Legends, and he's, by the way, also a full-time partner at Alpha Coach with us.
Oh, is he? Okay, cool.
He heads up our content department. He writes up all our blogs, all our conversational emailers.
Right.
He's done that 4x4 by 48, and I thought it was insane. I mean, I can't.
It's less about distance. It's more about endurance. Because it's mindset. Because when you I started at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday morning, and I finished at 1 a.m. Monday morning, and you kind of you get into this zone on the Saturday night, Sunday morning. When you're going, am I losing my mind here? Yeah. And then you're going to just keep going. And then one of my friends, Matt, he's an ultramarathon runner. And on the Sunday night, I had about two like to finish off. He was saying, actually, Andrew, you only trained for this for 6 days. He said, you're a mad B dash. He said, why the hell do you do that? And I did it for charity. I did it for motor neuron disease. But actually, but when I did it, I felt so good about it. I actually did some dancing. I did some dancing on LinkedIn. I did 3 dances on LinkedIn. People thought are you losing your mind, Andrew? Why are you doing dancing on LinkedIn? But anyway, it was really good. So I highly recommend this as an experience. But it's definitely endurance. It's not distance.
Right.
So
absolutely, and it's about just having that grit to just go about and do it. It's obviously fear. It's a lot of fear that comes with it before you start. But like they say, I think it was Jay Shetty who said this, that before any bad decision, right, or a bad choice that you make, that choice always feels good before you do it, and bad after you did it, after you're done with it, right?
Right.
And before everything that will elevate you, it always feels scary and tough and bad before you do it, but you always feel so good and proud that you did
exactly.
it. So the way to choose, when you always, like, life is binary. At every given minute, you've got a choice that you're making, right? You're either reading or you're watching TV. You're either watching a podcast, or rather, a YouTube podcast. Or
you're either watching the GNT, you're watching GNT sessions, or you're doing nothing.
GNT, right? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you
drinking gin and tonic? Yeah, you're either watching it or you're drinking it. Yeah.
Well, drinking is not so bad, honestly.
So a quick question around. So you said that obviously if you go back, your backstory. So you had this moment in November 2017, and then
yes.
But your career, because you mentioned you're an accountant, yeah. So you're a numbers guy, right? So being a numbers guy, an accountant, and I think you worked for some very, very large financial
20 years.
Financial services.
Oh yeah. I was working for right. I was in PwC and EY, and then with a $3 billion fund, very, very large fund, for about 15 years at a stretch.
Wow. So you're doing basically like M&A and investments and stuff like that, basically, like private equity.
Right. We were an investment company ourselves. We used to invest. We invested about 10% of that fund size in India over 15 years into various things: real estate, hotels, education, all kinds of businesses. Yeah. So
you were an investment manager or something? Is that what you're doing there or something? Or
yes. I was a fund manager over there. Yes.
Oh right. Okay. Cool. So that means, if you think about where you are now, that's quite a shift, isn't it? Because you're now, the projects you're working on now is, maybe you could explain to the audience what is it you actually are doing. You've built a brand new business during the pandemic and launched it in a completely different sector, and you've also funded it as well, haven't you? I think you've got some funding as well.
Yes, we got some funding, right. So I think the same that. How you can take any big decision in life. It took a while, right? It took me 5 years to take this decision eventually. So if you look at it that way, since when I started.
So is that what you call procrastination or not?
Well, no. It wasn't procrastination.
I'm joking.
I mean, I have done my fair share of it.
No, so just like,
but in
you
this
know,
case,
I have as well. I've done lots of procrastination. Don't worry, we're all in the same boat at some point.
yeah. No, the thing is that, of course, that like I said, I've done that. But the thing is, in this case, it was more about, am I cut out for that? Am I really, I mean, do I have any knowledge in the entire business space of fitness or not? Because, but I did start a side hustle, the gym that I spoke about in 2016. Right. And when that shut down in 2020, I started thinking about what do I want to do for the next 20 years, right? I learned a lot over the last 4 years while doing that business from 2016 to 2020, but that was not a business that was infinitely scalable like a technology business could be. You can't grow it, you can't fund it. It's a local business. It's not something you can do. But what I did was that while I had this big vision of creating this tech company and stuff, I think what came to my rescue was the understanding that any goal can create this thing called an identity gap, right? Where you are today versus who you want to be tomorrow. If I started out with a large goal and each identity gap, for example, say you want to lose 10 kgs, right? So you imagine yourself 10 kgs lighter, you know how they ask you to visualize. But the minute you start visualizing something that's a very large goal, as soon as you, because it takes work to get there, and you need some stars to be aligned in your favor. Some things need to work out. You need to get lucky. You need to be at the right place at the right time.
You need to roll the dice and get a double save.
There's a little bit of that, right? It's a little bit of a roll of the dice and stuff. So all the planetary positions need to be aligned and whatnot. But the thing is, what it does create is something called a fight or flight response, right? And the larger the person, larger the identity gap, the more flight sort of comes into place. Right? Imagine you coming up on the road and there's a guy who wants to fight with you, and if he's maybe a couple of inches taller, you might fight him. But if he's 1 foot taller than you, you're going to run, right? It's not going to be a fair fight. So that's what typically happens. So what we need to do is we need to break our vision down into something like smaller goals. You should know that it will not, obviously understand and know that it will not be a straight path and that there will be hurdles. Try and cut out as many uncontrollable factors, like, for example, when you're stuck at a traffic light, you can't be angry that it turned red. I mean, there's no point of it. You can't control it. There's no point of you losing your mind over it, right? And if you resolve to simply take action no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So if you know these 3-4 things, but obviously you have that long-term vision, but every time you think about your next you, it has to be that one step further and not 1,000 steps further, which is what it probably may take, right? So that sort of helped. So what I started doing the whole of last year, in fact, I started learning one aspect about running a technology business at a time. I literally read about, till date since COVID hit, and which has been quite phenomenal for me, actually. I have read, I think, 54 or 55 books, and of which maybe 4 books have been fiction. Everything else has been marketing, technology, growth, fundraising, scaling up, creating new categories, product knowledge, etc., etc., etc. And then about and within that there have been things like and nicer things. Oh, of course, human resources, how to hire correctly, how to create the right culture. For example, Netflix culture deck. How to think straight, how to be a better leader, like Simon Sinek's books on leadership, leaders eat last, infinite game, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
The 10x rule and blah, blah, blah. Of course, Relentless was old, but winning was last year again, right? So all these books.
Well, we were there, weren't we? We were there at the book launch. We were there.
Oh, that was this year. Sorry, it was 2021. It was not even last year, it was this year.
The book launch of Winning with Tim.
Correct. So these were what I
Tim
put
and
together
Sherry.
slow and steady. Right. Tim and Sherry were there, absolutely. So this is what I sort of took upon myself to become a better person week after week. And the good part about Audible is you can finish a book in 3 days to 5 days, right? So I've spent the last year and a half, maybe about, I think 75 weeks, and I've finished 50 odd books on Audible. And I've just become, hopefully, slightly smarter and cleverer to be able to take that step.
I should send. So I don't know if you I know we're connected on LinkedIn, but so periodically I take a photograph of my Turner's towering book of books, right? So I basically stack a load of books together, and I said, these are the books that I'm reading at the moment. And obviously, I haven't got to the point where I've actually published my Audible collection. But if you add my physical books with my Audible collection, with my Kindle collection, it will probably fill a hotel or something like that. You know, it's like,
wow.
So I've actually bought a bookcase just after the pandemic started, and I've filled it full of books basically. So I've been doing a similar thing to you. It's very good to. There's so many good great books out there. So
absolutely.
it's absolutely. There's a lot of stuff you can learn, and you can synthesize and then fuse together with other readings as well to get your point of view and your kind of improve your. I suppose you improve the depth and breadth of your knowledge. It's really good. Yeah, highly recommend.
I think if you can find absolutely, and just to add to that, I think if you can find stuff that gets you excited and find a format that you enjoy. Like for example, I took I think a week, no more actually. I think it was 13 chapters. I think I took about 20 days to finish Winning, because I just read very slowly, very slow. I just can't read.
Right.
I think I took about. Relentless also probably took the same amount of time. Kindle, I just can't do, because if I have something in written, I need to keep underlining, otherwise I don't get it for some reason. But Audible, I just sit and I'm walking. I'm doing my walking steps in a very controlled parking area of my building. So very controlled. It's on the podium level. It's controlled. So there are no dogs, no people, no cars, no potholes. There's no, etc. There's nobody around there. So I walk over there in a very controlled environment, listen to it at a speed of 2x. Make my summary notes on Google Keep, and then at the end of the book, I email that to myself on Gmail.
Right.
I then read my summary notes. I then format it a week later so that I know what I want to highlight in proper, like a Word document. And then read those notes every 45 to 60 to 90 days.
Oh, cool.
Depending. So
you've got kind of like
I
a
just
practice
snooze it in
discipline around that. Yeah, you got discipline around that.
I just snooze it in Gmail for the 45 days, 60 days, so on and so forth. So then I can do that. So that way it just keeps getting more and more into my head, and I don't have to read or think about that book ever.
It's like osmosis, yeah.
Yeah. So that's there. I mean, I think the idea of reading is very, very critical. I was actually talking to somebody, on my own podcast. I think a person asked me on the Alpha Coach podcast, in which he said, so how do you develop a habit of reading, I think? And I said, with my own son, I started with making him read all the right books according to me, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
all right,
Cash Flow, starting with those, right? He did a course called Kidpreneurs. He did something on, there's a book called Rich Kids and Good Habits and Bad Habits and stuff like that.
Okay.
And, but he was like, there was hardly any takeaway from that, because he was like, I'm being pushed to do it, right? And then we still wanted him to read and hold a book, even a Kindle, and just do some reading rather than watching the screen all the time, in terms of some entertainment.
Rather than playing the Xbox.
And then, all the time, right? And then we said, why don't we make him read whatever he wants? And even if it's Wimpy Kid, we're good with it, because at least then he's in the habit of doing that 30 to 45 minutes reading, no matter what, every single day, right? And that helped him a lot better. So I think the takeaway is start with what you like, reading, get into the habit of reading, and then maybe continue reading for what you may want to probably read about, right? And what's important in your life.
Yeah, there's one actually called. So there's one called How to Raise Entrepreneurial Kids, which was released last year.
Okay.
It's actually written.
I'm going to take that down.
It's been written by Daniel Priestley, who's the guy that wrote Key Person of Influence and Entrepreneur Evolution, Oversubscribed, etc. He's a Australian business guy who's got a company called Dent that I've been doing some stuff with this year actually. So he's written by Daniel Priestley and Jody Cook. How to Raise Entrepreneurial Kids. It's definitely worth maybe having a look for that for your son. So yeah, it just triggered me when you were talking about that, because I agree. It's
perfect. I've written it down.
Getting my sons who are 16 and 18 off YouTube or Xbox is quite a challenge. So
right. I can imagine.
My older one's spending time with his girlfriend now. So yeah, the older one gets that age, I suppose. So quick question. So in terms of your business, though, it sounds like you had a physical business, and then did the pandemic basically completely reshape that business overnight? Did it it completely stopped operations? Is that what happened?
Yes. We just shut that business down, me and my old partner, because it obviously wasn't. We weren't going to start for at least 8 months to 12 months after that, and for both of us, it was a side hustle. Right? He had his own training clients and stuff, while I had my own job,
Right.
and we shut it. And then I thought about this new one in which technology. It was all built around technology, right? And now the good part about tech is it's scalable. It's scalable at a very low cost. It transcends all boundaries of geography, and it transcends all boundaries of age groups, etc., etc. Because now you can start catering to various, you can curate programs for all age groups, etc., rather than having to depend on one just simple space and center that we have. So, and it was obvious for me because the use of tech in today's world, the way everything has been digitized, right from ordering your groceries to doing meetings like this, like we're doing, to online schooling, to online fitness, everything was going online. So I think the use of tech was obvious, and the timing I think was fantastic. I think when I was starting to feel like I need to do a little more and build something for myself, after many years of working for other companies and stuff like that. So,
but it's a huge market, obviously, fitness and health and fitness. I mean, I was just looking recently because there's quite a lot of, you could say, celebrities that have started to build their own fitness apps and things like that. Like Chris Hemsworth, who's Thor, and with Center and stuff like that. So, I mean, how do you compete in that? How do you differentiate and compete in that it's a huge market, but also I suppose it's how do you niche down to a point where you have those you have a way of entering the market and growing. How did you rationalize that?
Right. So what we're doing is we are, so a lot of these applications, a lot of these online platforms are built around, they solve for one or more of the problems that people have. So people have a problem wherein they need to know how to train effectively. They don't know how to eat properly. They don't know what habits to bring into their life so that they can do it sustainably for the next 30, 40 years, right? So what we've done is you could say, how you have those bumpers in a bowling alley for children, right? When you throw it, the bumpers come up so it doesn't go into the gutter. Right? We're sort of building a simplistic program that anybody can come and find a goal and sort of go from there. So if you say, for example, sign up for the program, you want to lose, say, 5 kilograms, you sign up with the coach. The coach makes a program that's specifically for Andrew Turner, which will have the kind of foods that Andrew likes to eat, the kind of gym access that Andrew has, the fitness level that you're beginning at, your goals in mind, and building it into your structure, into your life, so that you're given these habits to be every single day.
So what we do effectively, it's like mass customization, basically.
It's what we call hyper-personalization.
Okay.
Because everything is customized to you. We even give you specific habits. For example, anybody who does not do enough steps for the day is asked to increase steps to 4,000, 6,000, etc. Right? Anybody who dislikes eating salads would be given maybe eat with 1 salad for dinner this week and then get to 2 and so on and so forth. For example, something as unique as a smoker who used to smoke 2 packs of cigarette a day, we told him to compulsorily smoke 1 cigarette every hour. Or 2 cigarettes every hour, then we cut it down to 1 cigarette every hour, which meant that from 40 cigarettes, he had to cut down to 32 because he'd be awake for about 16 hours, right? Give or take. And that came down to 8 and so on and so forth. That came down to 16 and eventually came down to 4 a day is now what he's on.
Wow. So you can wean him off. You're basically moving to a new habit by incremental steps. Okay.
Correct. And we increased his activity, we gave more nutritious food, and all of that combination sort of helped, this thing there. So the idea is that what we're trying to do in the premium coaching application right now that we've launched is to get that human coach to understand everything about the client and guide them effectively to that, right? And in the future, we're building a very, very scalable, because obviously when you have a human coach on the other side, it's not the most scalable. You can get up to maybe 200 good quality coaches who are great with transformations. But I think beyond that, even globally, it just becomes very tough to control the quality, the process, and stuff like that. So what we're going for is a complete AI training model in which there will be a coach, but one coach manages literally 200 people because they're not really in touch with them every single day, other than if you're not on point or on track. But having said that, the entire system keeps coaching you like a coach would. It's got machine learning built in. It's got
like a bot. It's like an alpha bot.
It's got Alpha. Yeah, that's a good name, by the way. We haven't thought of a nice name for that. Well, AlphaBot's not bad.
Hey, you could call him AB.
Thank you so much.
AB. AlphaBot. AB.
Yeah.
Hi, AB.
Oh God, I'm gonna make notes and I'm gonna copy this. So this.
Actually, if you think about ABC, AlphaBot coach. ABC.
Yeah, that's not bad. Oh, God.
See,
you're coming up with gems.
You heard it here first. I don't have much commission on that deal.
Right, absolutely. We'll pay you a royalty for that.
Worldwide royalties from Alpha Coach.
From Alpha Coach, yeah. So that's what we're sort of building. So it's basically where tech becomes really the coach, and that becomes the human assistance bit is plugged into that, and that completely coaches the person on everything related to fitness, which is not just training. Like Center is about training, for example. Right. We have, for example, there's a nice, good company called Noom. They are a food logging and health coaching app, right? Primarily around on nutrition.
Okay.
There are a few more apps that are primarily focused on training and there are smaller things. So across the world and in India, there are such apps, but there is nobody solving for everything in a holistic manner, and everything is solved for on that one application itself. So that's what we're building. It is very 0 to 1 at this point of time. It is not it's not a 1 to 1.1 or 1 to 1 point. It's not an improvement, but I think nobody has this at this point of time. So hopefully
Peter Thiel would be proud of you then.
Yes, that's one of those 50 books. And I have very detailed notes.
So there's a book actually you might have, I don't know if you've read it, but there's a guy called Sunil Menon. Have you heard of him? So he's so as you know, recently I was supposed to be in India for a week doing my triathlon training. I was supposed to be with Sunil Menon. He's written a book about nutrition. So he's a triple Ironman, and he's an Ironman coach now. He's done quite a few Ironmans, and he's actually got I think he's got the national record for the fastest ultramarathon race in India. I was supposed to be with him a few weeks ago, but obviously because of quarantine rules in India, I didn't make it. But he's written a book with a doctor actually about nutrition, so I can introduce you to him as well if you wanted me to connect you with him, because there might be a collaboration there. Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Is
it called Fuel Your Body Naturally?
That's right.
Long-lasting endurance.
That's right.
Yeah, I just looked him up.
That's the book that he wrote. Yeah, exactly. Another book for your backlog.
Yes,
backlog.
Yes, absolutely.
So. Yeah, that's really interesting because it's really like a combination of something that everybody should think about, and actually leveraging technology to do the heavy lifting, and do with a human oversight. So it's kind of the way you've thought about it. I think I was also the guy called Michael Vasquez. I don't know if you know Michael Vasquez.
Yes.
He's a dude. That guy, my God, he's there doing the kind of the body weight training on the beach, with the water flying over.
Right.
He's like, I think he's actually I don't know if he's South American or something like that, but he's a beast. He's a beast in the gym.
Yeah, I know. I think I've seen him on Instagram. I'm not sure.
So he's got like an app as well, but I think that's more around, to your point, it's around training routines. It's around a certain practice, like his kind of recipe to what he does to keep himself fit, that he's kind of published online, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I suppose it's that's the thing. That's what I was trying to work out when you were talking about Alpha Coach, is how do you, in this sea of opportunity, how do you shine your lighthouse? Yeah, how do you shine bright in that sea of opportunity, I suppose, or that large market?
I think a large part of what we're trying to build for our as our target audience, which is a little different from the regular target audience. I think most people try and sell this on a retail platform, using Instagram, social media, etc., etc. But coming from the background that I come from, a very corporate profile, right? I've spent 20 years doing corporate work. I have a very strong relationship, personally as well as professionally, with with the corporate community. So we're doing
Right.
a slightly different take on the entire thing. A big source of marketing for us is LinkedIn, right?
Okay.
We're not doing so, and what I call this is high performance for high performers, right? You're a high performer in your field. You like to, you're doing so well at work. You're scaling new peaks every single day, every month, every year. You're a career entrepreneur, you're a career whatever, employee, or you're a professional, and you have so much time and effort that you're putting over there. Now, what if, and maybe you've neglected your health, right? Now, what if your engines could be running at 100%? How much better could you be, right? And even if you were already at the peak of your financial success, do you think you'd be able to enjoy that finance or the money and the wealth if you had that health? Imagine going for a cruise and being in the Maldives and not being fit enough to swim, or going out to Mount Kilimanjaro and not being able to do the trek. Imagine going to a
Machu Picchu or something like that.
Imagine being in the Bahamas and not being able to do jet skiing, right? For example, or surfing if you're in Australia or wherever. I mean, I'm just throwing up names, but imagine attending a destination wedding and not being able to dance for your friends, whatever, family. So that's where health comes into place. I mean, it sounds very cliche, the whole health is wealth thing, but it is so true. If you can't enjoy your financial success, you are not rich. We are very honest. I mean, you're just going to be lying around and just coughing away, just struggling to breathe if you put into even a slight bit of discomfort. So that's what we try and do. So what I try and push it as is that we're trying to build a very strong and engaged community of high performers. Now imagine a down and dirty group, legends, with people in fitness, or rather our clients in fitness.
Okay.
That sort of engaged quality of people on a Facebook group, everybody posting their stuff. We've done this. This was my hurdle. This is how I overcame it. People doing talks to each other, helping each other out, and stuff like that. So we're trying to do that when successful individuals, every field, they are able to take better care of themselves. They can make a better impact on the work they do. And just on all the assets, on all facets of life, not assets, all the facets of life, whether it's for a family, whether it's a social life, your friends, your girlfriend, whatever it is, you're able to do a far more justice to it in the long run, right? So that's where I realized that I personally benefited when I got fitter in 2018 after I nailed down the systems that worked. And that system, sort of takes away the lethargy, the fatigue, the barrage of high pressure work. It's all very overwhelming. And if you're able to declutter your mind because you've equipped your mind and body to say, you know what, if this happens, I'm just going to go around it. I'm not starting to stress about it anymore.
You're going to go through it. You're going to go through it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what is the ROI of a guy or a girl who's been shy all their life to go to a pool party and be confident? What's the ROI of that? What's the
Huge.
ROI of going up to your boss and go up to your boss and say, listen, I've done this is work. I demand a raise. What's the ROI for going and closing high value contracts like Tim Fred on our team in D&D?
Tim Fred.
He just talked. He's so focused about it, right? Now, if he was not confident about the way he looked, the way he felt, the way he knew in his mind that this is my focus, he probably may not have been as effective, but he is going places right now.
His little devil. His little devil.
Always this little red devil, right? The red Fred or whatever. So if we can avoid those peaks and troughs that are constantly happening in a manner of speaking, and that you're focused and that these things will happen, you just keep going on, then those alarm bells won't go ringing all the time, right? Like alarms are never a good thing all the time. I mean, you can yank us once out of our sleep in the morning, but imagine if they were going off all day. I mean, we just not be able to work, right? So there was a quote that just came up.
No, it's a good conversation. I mean, so one of the things I also wanted to ask you about was about, transition from, 15, 20 years of corporate life into running your own startup. Yeah. And then going through what I understand is the whole machines of pitch decks and getting funding and securing support,
Oh yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. There's kind of like, what I'll call usually thing they call peaks and valleys. Yeah. So how do you describe some experiences around peaks and valleys that you've been through, that you want to share on today's show? I suppose anything that comes to mind.
So specifically around the funding.
Well, no, just generally.
Just running my business.
Yeah,
So the life of an entrepreneur, especially a startup, especially a young startup, and something at least until we got funded, to be very honest, is there is no middle path, right? Either there is extreme euphoria or just crazy amount of horror. There are only those two extremes that happen every single day. Every news, oh my God, something, oh my God, it's going crazy. Oh my God, that's so exciting. One sign up, every time I hear my payment gateway notification,
Slack,
I'm like, hey,
Slack,
yeah. So Slack,
Stripe.
Stripe. The Stripe in India, we've got another company called Razorpay, which is a very large Indian company. So we've got Stripe and Razorpay. So, but yeah, every time the payment gateway goes ting, I get excited. Every time there's a Slack message about something which is not so great, it puts you down. But so I think the idea is that at the end of the day, if you know what's wrong, right, you need to know that you need to change it, right? Suppose something didn't go well, you need to take action about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to take it one step at a time. And there have been, I would say, I can't name one or two, but yeah, during the closing of the funding, during the times when we were about to launch, and we found that the app was the code was breaking, and then we had to fix it and send another one to Apple, and then they had other tons of questions.
For the uploads, the validation,
you have to take those steps. The only way to remove that thing, rather than beating yourself up about it, or to constantly go into a meltdown, I think the only thing that does and has saved me is to go deeper into work and say, you know what, if I know that if I take these 10 steps today, if I just go and attack my day with the same focus, I'll get through the mental, not depression, but that's a more clinical word. Just
a bit like
burden.
Take action to
I've realized this.
Yeah.
I've realized this, even when people get stressed at work, stressed in relationships, stressed in anything, I think there are only two things that typically are the major sources or the major reasons that happen. Is either you don't want it badly enough, so you don't obviously, you're not happy with doing that work. You're busy, but you're not happy creating or believing in it enough. And the second is that you're not. You may believe in it, but you just keep feeling guilty about not doing enough work, right?
Right.
And that's the only two reasons I think are the reasons why people get stressed and burnt out at whether it's work, whether it's the fitness, whether it's the relationships. If you do enough work and if you believe in it enough, I even right now have a habit of working at least 12 to 14 hours almost every single day. I'm always switched on. But I'm not, I could be tired and I then go to bed literally done for the day, but I don't get stressed and feel burnt out of fatigue in a negative sense, right? Being tired is a good thing. If you've done enough work, you should be tired. That's your body's way of telling you, you're done, go rest it out, right? But when you go to bed and you're not able to sleep, that's the stress and the guilt and all of that stuff coming to you.
Right. So it's like if you've had a fulfilled day and you've actually knocked all those 10 things off or whatever, then you're going to be in a different mental state. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's what is the best way to get out, at least I find, of all of these peaks and troughs that do come. And it's an everyday affair. It's not one.
Peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys, absolutely.
So in terms of the future, it sounds like you've obviously just recently, I think you said you recently launched in the last 50, 60 days, you've launched the app into the App Store. So that's on. So was that on Google and Apple? Is that you've launched it on both?
Yes, on iOS and Play Stores. Yes.
Cool. So what are you most excited about, and what's it looking like in the future? What are you? Have you got this grand vision and plan for by 2030? Are we going to have like 1 billion people on Alpha Coach? What's exciting about the future for you?
No, absolutely. I think the combination of two things that I truly love is what I'm doing. Is one is, like I mentioned, that technology has always fascinated me. I mean, the simplest application, literally the simplest applications, have always enamored me. Right, right from the old digital Casio watches with those buttons here, with the calculator over here, to today's high-end applications, to cars with technology, to all of that stuff is always. And I depend on tech so much, literally, for work, for my own health. I mean, I have Fitbit. I use all my health apps. I track everything, including birthdays, reminders, and just planning my whole calendar around my day, right? And I even have reminders, literally, or rather, I don't know if I have it now, but I used to have reminders to cut my own nails because I used to forget. And I never had a nail cut on me when I did remember. So
Wow.
actually, I was laughed at, but I have now created a system in which I am a machine and everything revolves around. Even if I want to sit down and do deep work, I put it on my calendar as time block, like a meeting.
Okay.
I don't leave anything to chance. So just the fact that I knew sometimes the tech would be something I would do. I didn't know when, I didn't know what. But that's that one thing. The second part is, obviously, we're building Alpha Coach, which is in the fitness industry, right? So the good part, it's using tech, it's helping a lot of people. And with the new application that we will build, we will have something that's very promising and impactful over the long distance. Just looking at the number of downloads that fitness apps have, there are some Indian companies which have over 25 million downloads. There's some global apps which have over 50, 60 million downloads. In all, if you count them all, I think there are about 200 to 250 million downloads across all the fitness applications. Or maybe more, even more, maybe 300 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people being impacted. And if we can start, and if we can create and democratize fitness, high-end personalized fitness, in the hand of anybody who can even afford $5 a month, right? Literally at that price point,
to make it accessible as well
to everybody, right? To everybody, cheaper than a Netflix subscription. Right? Then that would be something wherein people can then use that as their resident health application. That would be my goal over the next 5-7 years. With people actually having the digital health records on that, they are able to keep their insurance certificates, do their premiums through that, be rewarded for being fitter by doing the various activities.
Right. Okay. So gamification kind of thing as well. Yeah.
Not gamification between people, but just be rewarded, right? For example, if you are
reward and recognition, like badges and reward and recognition, like progress, basically.
Right, and get discounts on healthier products. If your score is high because you're logging in your food, you're watching your food, you're watching your steps, you're sleeping well, your resting heart rate is lower, you're training regularly. All of those things would mean that you are leading a healthier life than what you were if you weren't doing it. Right? Now, can we reward you in some way? Can we get you discounts at gymnasiums, spas, wellness centers, maybe even health insurance premiums, maybe even access to certain sort of facilities, fitness vacations like fitcations and so on and so forth. So there are a bunch of things that you can do that we will be able to, including helping kids get fitter. There's an obesity issue with children these days. The number of, there was one statistic I read wherein a child eats as much sugar by the age of 8 than a person in the 1950s ate their entire life.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Imagine.
Wow.
So it's basic. It's basically, even if you took the life span of a person being, say, 70 years or 80 years, we're eating 10 times more sugar now. It's unbelievable in our first growing years. It is something which
That's insane, isn't it?
Like, yeah, it's absolutely insane. So if we can help people understand, if we are able to give them an insight, into their bodies, literally,
which is the education angle. Yeah.
Yes, it's using data. So, for example, if you were to look at, when you piled on that massive cheeseburger, right, and you could see what's happening inside.
Not me. I told you not to tell them about that. Don't tell them about the cheeseburger.
Right. So if I were to have that massive cheeseburger and I could see what the meat and the sauces,
the composition,
the mayonnaise, and etc. would do inside my body, versus when I gave myself a nice salad without too much dressing, etc. And what was good for me, or maybe ate a good amount of fruit. And I could see what happened in my body. I would probably choose the latter and go for the healthier option, but you can't. So what's the next best alternative? That's data, that's insights, and that's some amount of AI that can be built to tell you that, what you're eating is not good. You know it, but now can you
measure it?
Can you not even measure also is all, the calories, the macros, but can you depict it in some way that a person can say, oh my God, I don't want to eat so badly, or I want to start living slightly better, and it's not just about this short-term gratification of this one meal. Can I think a little more long-term, right?
Well, there's two kind of quotes that I just triggered in my mind when you were talking. Actually, was so Dan Martell, one of my previous guests, who does SaaS Academy. He does like scaling SaaS companies. He's got a great quote about make sure you sweat every day. Rather than saying train every day, make sure you sweat every day, because you actually get to the point where you're actually exceeding, doing something that's strenuous or doing something that's going to make you sweat. And then the other quote, I can't remember, it's some guy that I saw the other week, was he said, think about the food that you consume as though you're a Ferrari. What would you put into your Ferrari? Yeah. Think about what you put into your mouth and what you drink, and think about that from it's your choice about what you do with, what you put inside your body. So I thought those two quotes kind of like just triggered when you were talking about that, about,
you're a jet engine, right? Our bodies could be jet engines. Why are we treating it like crop dusters, right? I mean, you don't want to do that. You can do it every once in a way, because, we're not machines at the end of the day, of course, and food is a little more than just fuel. It's about relationships. It's about getting together with people. It's about the good taste. It's all the bounties that food and drink can offer should be enjoyed, but hopefully responsibly, knowing that your body can only take so much, and at the end of the day, if you overdo it, it is abusing your body. So you need to, that's what we try and educate people, that, a little bit is fine. 80-20 is fine. Let the 80 not be the bad, right?
So one of the things we do is as kind of to try and, I suppose, capture and summarize what great people like yourself, when they come on the show is well, I suppose one additional question I got, actually, which triggered me as well, is the first one would be, if you're going to pick the top 3 books of the 55 that you've read in the last 18 months, which one would any ones that you spring to mind that you go, you've got to read this one? It's a wowzer.
Honestly, and this has nothing to do with my allegiance to the D&D, but I think Relentless and Winning have had such a big impact in my life. Relentless was literally the first book that I started reading. That's how I got to know Tim Grover, honestly. And then I saw that ad and I signed up. So that's had a profound impact in my life. Winning, I think I preferred Relentless to Winning. A lot of people say Winning's better. I just think the OG is the OG. Relentless works. Winning's an amazing book. And I think if you were to think about generally life and how to think about life in general, I think it helps in so many dimensions, because I only get to choose 3. I think The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek is something. I love that book. I think it's not about one thing. It's about how everything is not a zero-sum game. There is so much abundance. You and I can both win, and so can 10 other people win. It's not about, I don't consider, for example, my competitors. I think they're also doing a good job. They're trying to do, obviously, everybody's doing a business for profit, right? And valuations and all of that stuff, and unicorns and all of that stuff does happen. But I think if your heart's in the right place, I think if your intention is to create a healthier community, a healthier country, a healthier planet, so to speak, they're not competitors. They're just doing what they do best, and they know best, or how best they know how to do it, right? So I think that mindset has truly allowed me to really really think much larger than what I used to think before.
Right.
So that's the second book. The first, Relentless. The second would be, and Relentless and Winning go hand in hand. The third book is the No Rules book.
Oh, really?
It's a Netflix culture deck. I have not read a better written book on human resources. I mean, I've read a few books about it, hiring, about how to this thing, and just it is so beautifully done that we've actually implemented all of those policies in my new startup. We have all of those things about no expense policies, no vacation policies, no enough candor, enough being able to talk and explain what you want to do. All of those things that are there in that book. We've to a certain extent amended and customized it to our company because we're fairly new. But we've sort of been we've tried to implement almost all of those learnings from that. It's an incredible book written by Reed Hastings and I forget the lady's name. But I think that is a brilliant book to read by anybody who's either running a startup or somebody who who is in human resources or somebody who's in the top management at some level of top management.
Yeah. No, it's good choices there. Good choices. It's you actually did 4 actually. Then so you cheated, but I appreciate your
like I said. So 1A and 1B are relentless.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know Tim Grover, he was the individual who trained and coached Michael Jordan for I think 15 years, didn't he? When he was some of the stories that we've listened to and participated in have been quite amazing. The inside track of Tim's talks. Thanks for sharing that. So my final question was about actually, given all that tacit knowledge that you've picked up and all the kind of stuff you've been doing, is one of the things that we find with this podcast is because it's about G&T, growth and technology with gifted and talented people, which obviously we're on the show with today. And one of the things that people are trying to learn about is their kind of the pearls of wisdom. So any kind of takeaways that you think you would like to share with people that are listening to this episode from your journey so far. And it sounds like you've got you're part way there, but you've got a long way to go. But you've got some exciting things in the future. So what would you share around that kind of area?
Yeah, so I think on the technology front, I mean, honestly, where we are today is we're on Web 2.0 today. We're literally, I mean, I could say we're babies at this point of time. We're just all getting used to technology. I mean, when the .com boom happened, Web 1.0, 1.0, et cetera, happened, then when you got into Facebook and social communities and so on and so forth. I think that was what was Web 2. And now we're getting into, I mean, Facebook's already become Meta. I mean, it's showing us really that way more incredible, way more immersive, way more engaging content, engaging media are already happening. I mean, Nike bought a virtual space, like virtual product store or something like that, which now has accelerated their foray into the metaverse, right? And all of us already live in the metaverse at some level. Everything that we do. We share our photographs on Instagram. We share our good news on Facebook. We share our professional insights on LinkedIn, and we chat with our friends on WhatsApp much more. And then we do podcasts on the web, right? Like this. So the thing is, everybody's already taken to it. It's not like we aren't, or it's going to be alien. It's just that now you will have a character living in that world as well, or something like that in 3D. I'm assuming. I haven't seen it really well, but specifically for the world of fitness, I think we will have to shape up. We can't just be doing mobile apps forever. Because everybody's going to be in that, there will be, a lot of people are going to be obviously sedentary, right? We will not get that sort of thing. And because we'll be sedentary and we will be this thing, a lot of our health, physique, nutrition, training, all of that was obviously going to take a little bit of a backseat. So this is why, improving online coaching and taking up to a level where we can eventually, hopefully, move into the metaverse at some point and figure out what we can do is something that I will see myself looking at. Maybe not now, maybe in the next couple of years for sure. And improving people's minds and bodies through a far more holistic approach as opposed to saying, let's get you shredded in 12 weeks, right? Or 90-day challenge and so on and so forth. So we around those things. So therefore, over the next 2-3 years, we have built our product roadmap with a host of blue sky opportunities in which we think we can make enough, you can see enough growth and make a very significant impact in the health and wellness sector. So that's where I see us, honestly, I mean, if you see wearables today, they are currently just, or rather, there are watches, right, or bands. But currently, in the future, you will see stuff like like sunglasses, implants, chips. You already see Elon Musk and stuff like that, right? They will make watching, tracking, improving on health, everything so much more intrinsic and internal as opposed to what we're today. So I feel we're very, very, very nascent today. We have got technology that can predict heart attacks, like the Apple Watch apparently had saved somebody's life. I read a story about that.
Okay.
It actually alerted him saying you're about to get a heart attack. Some such.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure of the exact. Yeah. And stuff like that. And if we can predict, if you can make better wearables using data, if you can predict what may happen rather than just auditing what happened, if you can guide people in time, and not just telling them they're getting a heart attack or seeing a dip in energy or seeing strokes happen or whatever, anything potentially fatal, but guiding them well in time, 3 months before, saying, you know what, you're on the path. If you stay on this path, you could actually end up with a stroke in 3 months' time because your levels are going up or whatever that is. So if we can do that in the long run, and I'm not just saying one company, but as a host or as an industry in the health and fitness space, that will be something else.
That'll shift the needle. Yeah.
Right. That'll be something else. So that's the infinite thinking that can actually happen along this space, along these lines.
Fantastic. So I suppose one of the things I was just thinking about was because the application of what you're working on is so potentially huge. So if anybody listening to this episode wants to know more about Alpha Coach, obviously I know global headquarters is in India. When there's a few people in India, I believe. A few billion people in India to look after, but obviously there's a few billion people, about 7 billion people around the world as well. And obviously when Elon goes to Mars, then obviously be a few more billion people over there as well, as the kind of population spreads to all these other planets. If Elon's got anything to do with it. So what's the best way of getting to know more about Alpha Coach? Is it so where would people want to look and understand more about it and maybe get involved with your community?
Absolutely. So our website is www.alphacoach.app. We're currently live. Globally we're live. We're on all Play Stores globally. We currently market only to Indians in India at this point of time because obviously you start.
Oh, do you? Okay.
We're testing
something like a national campaign. Okay, right.
Oh yeah, we started literally with 2 key cities. Now we've gone all India. Then we will go out and maybe target Indians globally because we've got a very strong database of Indian local foods.
Okay.
That people in India, not just eat, but what they call those foods. For example, breads and naan breads in the UK, they're called with different names in India across the country.
Right. Okay.
So we've also got those local names,
like nutrition tips per regionally. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the measurements are not big bowl, small bowl, and this thing. You don't use those. You use spoons. You use something called katori, which is a very, very local term in Hindi. So we use those things. So what we're looking to do is that we will go global over the next 12 odd months. However, currently we're just focusing on a small market, but it is growing as we speak. I think we should be in North America in about 10 months. Today, I think September next year is when we're sort of planning it.
All right. Well, I feel like I've been part of the journey already. Then it's like it's like before it'd be like this, isn't it? It's like a rocket taking off. Well, it's been absolutely been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Ketan. That's Ketan Mavinkurve, who's the CEO and co-founder of Alpha Coach, and you heard it here first on the G&T Sessions podcast. Before fame and actually, Alpha Coach goes to Mars. That's the final point. Yeah. In fact, the Earth is too small for Alpha Coach. We need to go to other planets. We need to go to the ecosystem. So, thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful day. And we will catch up soon and talk.
Thank you so much, Andy,
about D&D. No, it
was a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
See you soon.
Yes.
Thanks very much for your time.
See you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.